When you're a new rider, motorcycling can feel like a non-stop disaster forecast based on anecdotal horror stories, viral crash highlight reels on Chive TV, and even from well-meaning advice from an MSF instructor or experienced riders. You'd think that every time you swing a leg, you're starting a countdown to catastrophe. Getting rear-ended at stoplights, low siding on a single grain of sand in a corner, or having your engine yeet itself from its mortal coil because you slightly overfilled your oil by 1/10 of a quart. And look, riding does demand awareness and responsibility to stay safe and keep having fun. But if these stories were to be believed as gospel, you'd think disaster was inevitable. Many of these anxieties are either incredibly rare, wildly exaggerated, or shockingly easy to avoid with just a little bit of common sense. So let's talk about all the motorcycle disasters I was convinced was going to happen when I was a younger rider, but never actually did. If you're a baby squid stressing out about all the ways this hobby can go wrong, this one's for you. Let's start off with a big one, the possibility of getting rear-ended. Ouch. Getting rear-ended is one of those fears that lives rent-free in a new rider's head. You feel like a sitting duck when you're stopped at a stoplight, just waiting to get ass-packed by a 6,000-pound Suburban driven by a teenager who borrowed it from her mom so she could text and scroll and swipe right on a guy twice her age, all while driving to her part-time job at the pizza store. Is that how you want to get taken out from this world? It's not how I want to get taken out. But it feels like an inevitability. And while getting rear-ended does happen, it's less common than new riders are led to believe. And importantly, there are many ways to actively mitigate the risk of having your rear end rearranged by a fellow motorist. First trick, make sure you have that escape route. Offset yourself in the lane, not directly centered behind the car ahead of you. Keep an eye on the mirror so if someone does come in hot, you'll have somewhere to go. Keep your bike in gear with the clutch held in, saving that much more time should you need to accelerate forward out of danger. And I have to legally tell you this, while not always permitted in every part of the US, filtering to the front of stops traffic can ensure if someone is going to get rear-ended at this light, it ain't gonna be you. You might irritate some crossover Karen or a sovereign citizen with a goatee and white Oakleys, but that's a them problem, not a you problem. Once they get home, they'll be so enamored with all the AI videos on Facebook, they'll completely forget that this whole thing happened. And then they'll think about why they logged in the first place. Oh yeah, it was to post to the Travis County Traffic Authority that there were insane, reckless, dangerous biker traffic splitting in between everyone, harassing other drivers. Somebody do something! Of course, getting rear-ended is a possibility. Is it a guarantee? Definitely not, especially if you take matters into your own hands and mitigate those chances. Let those people stay in their vegetative AI video states. You got somewhere to be on your badass motorcycle. When you're new to riding, maybe shopping for a first or second bike, it's easy to worry that every good deal on a used bike means it's a ticking time bomb rife with hidden problems. Oil consumption, leaking gaskets, maybe a slightly bent frame from an undisclosed crash. You see a wicked deal on an SV650 and you think, this must be too good to be true. That poor V-twin is probably being held together by hopes and dreams alone. Doom scroll through marketplace listings long enough and you'll start to assume that every bike is just one missed oil change away from being a self-destructing piece of crap in the fast lane at triple digits. And yeah, some of you may want to go out that way, but I'm trying to prevent it to you. But listen, sure, there's certainly bad used motorcycles. We have a whole video series dedicated to it after all. But the idea that all used motorcycles are a nightmare to own is wildly overblown. My own cursed Gixxer 600 track bike notwithstanding, I've never really gotten burned on a used bike purchase, and I've bought a lot of them. But listen, track bikes don't count. Almost every track bike is kind of a piece of crap in its own unique and special way. The reality is a huge percentage of motorcycles live pretty easy lives. Maybe some old-timer bought a sport touring bike as a retirement present before realizing that jet skis were actually more his speed. Or some suburban dad bought a Ducati to pacify his burgeoning midlife crisis, only for his wife to withhold carnal pleasures until he sells the damn thing. You're a grown-ass man, Kevin. What do you think you're doing with a bright red crotch rocket? You can find bikes with like 4,000 miles or less because somebody bought it and then life had other plans. And these are the deals that are just oh so sweet. A bike's already taken a hit on the depreciation, but with less than $5,000 on the clock, this baby's barely broken in. I love me a good motorcycle deal. It is a lot harder to conceal problems on a motorcycle because for the most part, everything's exposed. You can see leaking fluids or bent or cracked parts. You can see missing fasteners or a rat's nest in the wiring harness, a literal one. Many motorcycles are also owned by real deal enthusiasts, those who not only change their oil early, but then proceed to argue about viscosities or additives on the Bob's the Oil Guy forums for hours afterwards. These are real deal people. Whereas most cars are owned by knuckle-dragging mouth breathers who see them as nothing more than an appliance. It's the types who aren't just going to put off the maintenance until the last minute, but there are about 10 lights illuminated on the dash and the top end is bone dry, screaming for lubrication. You'd think that Toyota engineered this all into their vehicles, right? Like, it's unbelievable. On top of that, motorcycles are generally pretty robust in the modern era, many being massively understressed when ridden normally on the street. There are engines out there so bulletproof that a lack of maintenance is nothing more than a slight annoyance. Looking at you, Suzuki and Honda. Those bikes can take abuse. Does buying a used bike require a little common sense? Absolutely. Some basic research, healthy skepticism, all those things will go a long way. But the idea that buying used automatically means endless problems or unpleasant surprises just doesn't add up with reality.
I'm super excited to share the recent winner of our latest sweepstakes. Braden in Houston actually won the Honda Hornet 750, and I was able to deliver it to him in person. Check it out.
Yeah, well, congratulations. I'm really excited for you on this bike. Delivered here in the Houston area. You said you're heading off to the Marines, though, right? So you may not keep the bike?
Yeah, maybe not. Probably not.
Okay, probably.
June or July, I'm going to leave, I believe.
Yeah, well, at least it'll be here in a good home. And, well, if you see it come up for sale, maybe you pick it up from Braden over here. But hopefully you get a chance to ride a little bit, have some fun, and big congrats to Braden over here.
So big congrats to Braden on winning the Hornet 750. If you want to win this Moto Guzzi, head over to yammynoob.co and become a member for your best chance to win. You'll get access to our Discord server and automatic entries to win this motorcycle. Click that link and don't miss it.
All right, I've been waiting all week to talk about this one. It's my favorite part of the video. As a new rider, basic maintenance might feel as complex and dire as defusing a bomb.
Oh, boom! Oh, explosion!
You read one post about a guy who did his own oil change wrong and then grenaded his engine just a few days later. Then you'll start to believe that turning a wrench will only end in disaster. I hear riders talk all the time about being afraid to change their own oil, acting like it's some sort of arcane black magic ritual. They're paranoid they're gonna underfill the engine or overfill it or cross-thread the drain bolt or accidentally drink a quart of spent oil, necessitating a trip to the emergency room to have their stomach pumped. What, you think I'm joking? Thought Taken has a video of him sucking down engine oil through a hose because he thought he overfilled it. I'm not sure why he's been our weekly whipping boy. I actually really like the kid. He seems to have a good head on his shoulders, but he do be drinking oil. That's kind of crazy, right? But really, oil changes are so simple. You don't have to drink it. Don't drink the oil. You would have to be incredibly reckless or maybe slightly donkey-brained in some order to have a catastrophic outcome. All right, we're going to run this down. Get your notepads and pencils. This will be on the test. Bring the bike up to temp with a short ride. Remove the filler cap. Remove the drain bowl. Drain the oil. Remove the filter. Wait for it all to drip out. Pre-fill your new filter. Screw it on hand tight. Very important. Hand tight. Then reinstall your drain plug with a new crush washer. Very important, otherwise it will leak. Thread by hand, then torque to spec. Fill with the amount of oil stated in your owner's manual. Congratulations, you've eliminated literally 99.9% of disasters. Start it up, let it circulate while you check for leaks, turn it off, wait a few minutes, check for the oil level in the sight glass or on the dipstick, and that's it. It's not hard. Literally, it's just liquid is leaving the bike and it's going back in. It's so simple. For an oil change to go disastrously wrong, you'd have to either forget to refill the oil entirely, or you leave the drain plug so loose that it ejects itself, dumps the oil all over the garage, and you somehow continue riding without noticing the bike is literally bleeding to death beneath you. Either scenario requires a level of obliviousness that borders on impressive. The stories that attempt to correlate oil changes and engine failures are likely oversimplified. That engine was probably already on its way out, suffering some other mechanical issues unrelated to the oil itself. Then, when it goes kaboom, they think the oil change had something to do with it. Overfilling, underfilling, they both have significant margin for error. Manufacturers specify fluid volume and inspection procedures for a reason. Follow the good word of the book, and the bike will survive your learning curve just fine. It's okay. Battery maintenance also seems to inspire similar levels of irrational fear. What if I install it backwards? Not only causing my bike to detonate, but detonating my entire house, leaving nothing but a steaming crater where my overpriced 2-bedroom ranch house that I bought recently for double what it was worth in 2018 used to be. First of all, don't install it backward. Problem solved. I will confess, I did this one time. I blew up a fuse. I thought I nuked the bike. It was fine, but just don't do that, and it's okay. Just install it correctly. Positive to positive, negative to negative. Remove the negative terminal first, then the positive after. Reverse the order to reinstall. That alone prevents basically every possible issue. If you do mess it up, maybe you accidentally ground it out while touching the wrench to the frame and you get a really big cool spark, your bike is probably more than fine. You just learned a lesson in how electricity works. A typical worst case scenario for a battery mishap is a blown fuse, like I said. Replace it, life goes on. Motorcycles are not made of glass or fine china. Basic maintenance is not a gamble. The disasters most people fear aren't common, and more often than not, they're the result of egregious malpractice or some act of fate. As for the former, you reap what you sow. As for the latter, admit free will does not exist and just kick back and enjoy knowing that nothing you ever do will change the predetermined course of the universe. So you might as well just chill out about it and accept what comes your way. Every squid who has ever yeeted themselves off of the road while cornering will always blame it on the gravel. It is ridiculous. And if it wasn't the gravel that got him, it was the clippings. And while, look, I've had to layer down a couple of times, I can at least be big enough to admit that it wasn't the gravel or debris on the road that caused it. It was because I was very ham-fisted on a racetrack. And it was fun, and then I crashed. What are you going to do? I feel like when the gravel presents itself on the corner, it comes down to the actions of the rider to determine the outcome of the situation. It's not a guarantee that encountering gravel will send you straight into the underworld. I'm going to give you a hot tip, a hot take right here. Are you ready? You can hit gravel at lean and not crash. I know. Shocker. It can do it. I swear to God. I've done it before. On slick tires, just like what's on this 2-0 over here, you hit the gravel, you will not immediately crash. The easiest way to avoid this, however, is by not flying through blind corners at track pace without a more casual pass first. Despite what the Nelk boys keep saying, you can't always go full send. Public roads aren't racetracks. Conditions change all the time. Road surfaces wear and degrade, and gravel just ends up in the road. Actually, right now, after winter is the worst time because everybody salts stuff on the road, puts crap on them. There's dust and debris everywhere. So if you're starting out riding, be cognizant of that. It's just a fact. Also, where you position yourself in the lane can influence how much debris you must contend with. Gravel and sand tend to accumulate on the edges of the road or in the center of the lane, with clear sections where it's been brushed away by car tires over time. Staying away from where the gravel accumulates is a great start. Even if you do still end up going over some gravel, it's usually fine. The worst thing you want to do is panic brake or completely close the throttle or make a sudden input that just overextends the limits of traction. Remember, tires can take a lot of load. They don't like sudden load. If you maintain steady throttle, keep the bike settled, and let it track through, a small amount of gravel will probably just pass beneath you. Motorcycle tires are way more capable than people give them credit for. A little loose material is not a death sentence. Some gravel's different though, and it can be like a big pile of marbles. Avoid gravel when possible, but the idea that one pebble equates to an instant low side is pretty paranoid. If you were to believe everything you've ever been told about leader bikes, you'd think that they're sentient predators just waiting to take down unsuspecting squids. As if they're anticipating the most ever so slightly incorrect throttle input as just cause to yeet the operator into infinity and beyond. Based on the epic amount of viral leader bike fail clips I've seen, you'd think that every rider loops a leader bike the first time they ride one. Look, I'm going to fess up to you. I've looped a WR250R when I was practicing wheelies. I've looped a Grom like 100 times because I was practicing wheelies, but I've never looped a leader bike. Firstly, modern bikes are ridiculously good at preventing unwanted wheelies. Wheelie control, traction control, ride modes, hell, even winglets all exist to manage or prevent rear wheel slippage or front wheel liftoff. Unless you intentionally turn off everything and then yank the throttle open trying to impress the GoPuff drivers at the gas station buying snacks and sodas for stoners that are too afraid to leave their homes, you're not going to automatically flip the bike end over end on itself. It really is a skill issue. You whiskey throttle, you dump the clutch at high RPM, you snap the throttle open mid-corner. Yeah, something bad's gonna happen if you do that sort of shit. And most importantly, you shouldn't even be on a leader bike unless you know this. If you don't have those skills, you do not belong on a leader bike. Leader bikes are far less likely to punish calm, experienced, skillful riders. If you believe a leader bike is going to loop out immediately, you haven't gotten to the point where you're ready to ride one yet. Sorry to tell you. Look, motorcycling is not free of risk or danger, but it's also not the non-stop disaster simulator that many of you have been led to believe. Many of the things that a new rider loses sleep over are pretty rare, exaggerated, or completely manageable with a little bit of common sense. Relax, be smart, and stop letting hypotheticals shape your perspective. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I'll catch you on the next one. Fact. Octopuses have so many neurons in their arms that each arm can make its own decision completely on its own, meaning that parts of their body are effectively semi-independent brains. Goodbye. Staying away from where the gravel accumulates is a great start. Even if you still do end up going over some gravel. Word to the wise, the Aprilia 200 V4 has a little lip. You got to make sure the stand is not on the lip, apparently. You should just use the spools. This bike has spools. I got lazy. Don't do what I do. Please, don't follow in Yamineeba's footsteps.